Blessings and abundance, community. Welcome back to the Zen Effect Show. I am your host, Zen Howard, and the Zen Effect Show is a syndicated multi-platform space that is designed to help you in navigating life's highs and its hits and everything in between. Because living fully in your effect means choosing life on your terms, in your essence, in your alignment, and most importantly, in truth. Shifting your soul to shape your world, to come home to your power. This is your hub for soul-rooted conversations. This is also where I take headlines and shift them into higher perspectives. That's right, those conscious takes. So listen live right here on WBNC Breaking Chains Radio every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you missed it live or you just want to run that back, I've got you covered. Just catch the replay on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And YouTube, that's the all access pass, you all. That's where you get full audio episodes. So the exact episode that plays here on WBNC Radio, as well as the in-studio video interviews that I do and some exclusive content. So just search the Zen Effect Show on Google. You spell Zen, Z-E-N, and Effect, E-F-F-E-C-T. The Zen Effect Show. Just Google it. You can also go to WBNC Breaking Chains website. It will be linked there as well. And you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook, again, as well as YouTube, The Zen Effect Show. You can even search it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Everything The Zen Effect Show. Now let's move into today's conscious take. And then we're going to move into my topic for today. And my topic for today is the ownership shift. Because freedom begins where avoidance ends. You all, I'm kicking off conscious takes today, speaking on my city, Atlanta. Recent traffic studies show drivers in the region lost approximately 87 hours in the year 2024, placing Atlanta among the most congested U.S. metro areas. This congestion carries some financial consequences, you all. The average commuter in Atlanta loses over $2,200 annually due to lost productivity and wasted fuel. You all, this is just a hidden tax that's paid in time, it's paid in energy and resources. And according to Texas A&M Transportation Institute's 2025 Urban Mobility Report, traffic congestion is no longer limited to traditional rush hours. And oh my gosh, when I read that, that is so true, because there is traffic here all the time now, unless it's really early, late at night, which basically folds into very early in the morning. And that's basically it. And then you have to think of, well, considering too construction. Because if there's construction going on, then that's not even accurate, to be quite honest. However, this is not just taking place in Atlanta, you all. Actually, across the United States, all over the U.S., drivers now lose an average of, check this, 63 hours per year sitting in traffic. This is reflecting a nationwide shift, you all, in travel behavior since COVID-19, since the pandemic. Congestion patterns have expanded beyond weekday mornings and evenings into midday hours, into midweek periods, and even into the weekends. Atlanta specifically experiences approximately 6 hours of congestion daily, with the most intense delays consistently occurring between 4 and 5 p.m. Officials note that traffic congestion in many regions, including Atlanta, now exceeds the pre-pandemic levels, indicating that travel demand has not merely rebounded, but it's actually intensified. Do you feel it? Are you feeling it in your city? The common narrative is simple. We're full here in Atlanta. We full, okay? We are full. We got enough people. We great. Go to Nashville. Okay, go to Nashville, go to Philly, go to Miami. We are full here. That's what a lot of people say. That is the narrative being said. We are full, and Atlanta is not able to handle any more individuals moving here. But congestion, you all, is actually, it's not an evidence of decline whatsoever. Congestion is evidence of acceleration. We are at a huge acceleration point. Historically, it's known that congestion spikes in cities that are experiencing rapid growth. And Atlanta is one of the fastest growing regions in the entire country. My conscious take is this: when you are at an acceleration point, you literally are in the experience. You're no longer on the precipice, but you are in the experience of a huge evolutional boom. Not just in this city, not just even in the country, but also this pertains to your life. When you're experiencing a huge acceleration point, which means there's so much, it looks like this. There's so much that's coming in for growth and that's moving you forward. And on the other side of it, there's challenging experiences, difficulty experiences. There can be sadness situations that are going on. For instance, your business can be growing, but maybe there's a family member who's not doing so well on the other side. You understand what I'm saying? So my conscious take is this: traffic is not a sign of dysfunction. We always want to put it on the system. They definitely can do more. We all can do more. We can, each and every one of us can live into the more, be the more. However, this is a stress test. It's a stress test that is stretching this city. It reveals where planning must evolve, where investment must follow people rather than speculation, and where innovation is way beyond overdue. Hence, public transit. It's actually a message, and here it's really loud, that changes are necessary and changes are happening. There has been so much road development, widening of roads, adding more spaghetti junctions, expressways, access roads, roundabouts, all types of things. And it's necessary because of what is on the horizon for us. And I'm going to get to that momentarily. But this is a collective invitation. How do we advocate for smarter mobility solutions that expand access instead of deepening inequality And this reflection really speaks to the MARTA station that has been necessary to expand over a decade ago. It's really starting to put certain individuals based on their income. They can only live and stabilize themselves in certain areas. So even though the growth is beautiful, the growth is abundant, the growth is plentiful, the growth is amazing for small business. If you have a business, you're wanting to start a business, Atlanta is one of the top cities to do that, to bring your business to. But I'm speaking to this because I just want to shift the narrative, take out the fear, because there's so much in mainstream media that's speaking to the fear of it. And, we're at capacity and we're not just able to hold anymore. We just can't. Well, that's the issue right there, saying that you can't because you actually can't. It starts with a perspective shift. It starts with the mindset shift. Reflecting on the simple question that I literally just asked here. Now, speaking of the expansion of Atlanta, there is some fear and myths that I want to debunk. So let's get into it. Atlanta's traffic challenges exist alongside one of the most aggressive infrastructure expansion cycles in modern history. In 2025, the region experienced billions of dollars in development driven by AI data centers, industrial expansion, municipal upgrades, and check this out, you all, an estimated $5.2 billion dedicated, to downtown redevelopment projects. This surge in infrastructure investment aligns with Atlanta's positioning as a global host city, and that it truly is. Atlanta will host eight of the FIFA World Cup matches this year in 2026 at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it has officially been announced that Super Bowl 62, I'm so excited, will take place in Atlanta in February 2028. You all, let's get real. The Mercedes-Benz Stadium was not designed as a single-purpose venue just for the Falcons. From its inception, it was conceived as a long-term economic asset capable of hosting global sporting events, concerts, conventions, and international tourism at a large scale. And the stadium is absolutely gorgeous. The stadium generates reoccurring revenue for the city, and surrounding businesses anchors Atlanta's global brand, and it increases its competitiveness among international destination cities. This level of investment is not accidental. It is done in purpose, on purpose, and it reflects long-range economic planning designed to position Atlanta, Georgia as a hub for global attention and commerce. Large-scale events and infrastructure investment bring opportunity. They surely do. But it also often accelerates gentrification, displacement, and uneven wealth distribution. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and this is the truth that continues to be stated. Rent is going up. Housing market is going up, but the paycheck isn't going up. Truth is, there's a lot of businesses here, but there are also many people who were bringing in profit from their business, and due to so many changes, some industries, they still have their business, but they also had to go back to work. So they're operating a full-time business and a full-time job. The real issue is not whether Atlanta grows. It is how growth is governed and who is protected in the process. And I would love for you to reflect on this as Atlanta prepares for global visibility and an economic influx. How do we ensure development strengthens long-standing communities instead of erasing them? And whose voices must be centered to make that possible? A host city. That's the vision. How will you co-create with that? If you live in Atlanta, or you're moving to Atlanta, or you do business in Atlanta, or you visit Atlanta for business, how can you utilize this information to work for you? To create your life as you will it to be? Instead of falling into the narratives. And maybe you're seeing this in your own city. That's another reason why I'm talking about this today. Where is it necessary for you to pivot? Because this is what adulting is. We gotta shift. Change is gonna happen, change is inevitable, and change is necessary. How will you shift with it in a way that's sustainable for you? And all of that information regarding the infrastructure boom and the mega events was sourced through City of Atlanta development data and some additional sources. Okay, now, speaking of that, I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and they're in media, and they were basically saying the film industry has left Atlanta and the film industry is dying in Atlanta. And this is why I love to fact check. I hear what people say, but I love to fact check it. I see things on social media. I literally love fact checking. It is it's a hobby of mine that just literally makes my heart just beam with rays of sunshine. I literally love it. And once that was said to me, I was like, let me really look into what's going on, because perception is something else. Perception is something else. People can perceive something 50,000 ways. But how many people are really looking into the truth? And I love to bring that information here as to what's going on. So, and I'm really trusting that there are some people who are in film under the sound of my voice in the industry, because oftentimes when there are challenges that occur, such as the strikes that happened in the film industry and all of that, people can get an attitude of feeling jaded. They can feel jaded, they can feel some type of way, and then all of a sudden they have a narrative that industry is dying. And that's the industry that they have the most experience in. That's the industry that you've put blood, sweat, and tears into building for yourself. So don't defeat yourself by listening to the hype. Don't defeat yourself also by believing the hype, because maybe you're wanting to enter into media, enter into film, enter into entertainment. So I got some facts for you. Sourced by Georgia Film Office, AJC, Fox 5 Atlanta, The Hollywood Reporter. Georgia's film and television industry experienced a high peak in 2022. Actually so high that it reached approximately $4.4 billion in direct production spending. That period marked an unprecedented boom. Unprecedented boom. Remember that word, unprecedented, driven by streaming platform expansion, aggressive content acquisition, and global demand for film entertainment. By the year 2024 through 2025, production spending actually declined to approximately $2.6 billion, you all. That's a huge decline, representing a significant contraction, but not an industry exit. This downturn reflects broader structural shifts across the entertainment industry that includes streaming platforms scaling back budgets after years of overexpansion, increased labor costs following union negotiations, production delays, and restructuring after writers and actor strikes. Major studios, including Marvel, shifted upcoming large-scale projects to international hubs such as the United Kingdom, where labor structures, healthcare systems, and government incentives reduce production costs. What an invitation. What an invitation. There's a part of the answer. The labor structures in the United Kingdom, the healthcare systems there, and the government incentives actually supports the reduction of production cost. Again, these changes, these shifts that are made, supports the all collectively. The slowdown affected crew employment, soundstage utilization, and local production cycles, and some soundstage operators repurposed space due to the reduced demand. I want to get something clear. The film industry has not left Atlanta. It has not. Studios remain operational. There's plenty of them that are still here. Experienced crews remain in the region. There are such productions such as Tyler Perry's Sisters. You got Tyler Perry's Sisters that's on their 10th season. It's just doing phenomenally well. You can look up the stats and statistics and all, and the analytics and all that on it. Okay, all the facts on it, but it's doing very, very well. And there are new cast members. Okay, some of the original cast members are still there, some are not, and it's still doing phenomenally well. Film festivals, including the Atlanta Film Festival, continue to operate, and the Georgia Film Office remains active and engaged. Industry leaders describe the current environment as a transitional phase and not a collapse. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. I'm so tired of the fear, doom, and gloom that when there's change, when there's shifts, which always happen, it's gonna happen in life, people just go straight to the negative. It's a transitional phase, you all. My conscious take is this moment reflects normalization after an extraordinary boom. This happens and booms all the time. Industries expand rapidly under favorable conditions, then recalibrate. Infrastructure does not disappear simply because the volume contracts. That is not what happens. Look, no matter what the business is, when there is a huge boom, there is large expansion, you have to recalibrate. You got to plan for it. And to me, this is an invitation for more optimal planning. For me, this is an invitation where more jobs can be created to support that. Yes, there's going to be adjustments along the way, because what you planned, it will shift. You will have to pivot. You will have to navigate differently. But there's no such thing as over planning. And Atlanta's film ecosystem remains intact, and the growth model is evolving. Hence, the fact that the Different World reboot is filming in Atlanta. What it brought alive in me was this. I wanted to know where LA stands amongst all this talk. So Los Angeles remains the largest production hub in the United States, accounting for 18.3% of scripted film and television projects released in 2024. However, production activity in Los Angeles declined sharply, so they are seeing a decline as well. With shoot dates in 2025 falling 16.1%, that's significant, you all, below 2024 levels, reaching the lowest point since the pandemic in 2020. Atlanta historically hosted approximately 9.8% of U.S. productions, positioning Atlanta as the strongest domestic rival to Los Angeles. However, spending declined significantly after Marvel relocated major projects to London. And then New York emerged as a resilient contender, supported by an $800 million annual tax credit program. New York experienced a 31% increase in filming counts and a 23% rise in production spending in late 2025. New Jersey and Illinois recorded the fastest growth, with New Jersey's filming accounts, not too far from New York, increasing 75% year over year as productions relocated from California. Internationally, studios increasingly favor the United Kingdom, London, Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, Australia, Central Europe, Hungary, and the Czech Republic. Financially, this is where the United States sits. Financially, the United States remains the global leader in total production spending, estimated at $14.5 billion in 2024, although this represents a 26% decline from 2 years earlier. In terms of volume, China surpassed the U.S. in feature films produced for the first time, while U.S. production films continue to dominate 68 to 70% of global box office revenue. You all. The conscious take here is this is not a loss of creative power. It is a redistribution of production geography. Capital follows systems that align cost, labor, and policy. Full circle around the board. Creativity remains global, but production is mobile. And let's reflect on this. If production can move anywhere, how do creatives anchor themselves in transferable skills, ownership, and long-term value rather than physical location alone? You all the information that I have provided in this segment is very supportive for those of you who are in the industries that I'm speaking to, want to get in the industries that I'm speaking to, know somebody who's in it, know somebody who wants to get in it. Share this show, share this episode with them. This is episode 181. This is beautiful, factual information that can literally support so many in the shift and how to coexist, how to co-create, and how to pivot. Sourced by Media Industry Reports and Advertising and Analytics. By the end of 2025, fewer than half of U.S. audiences consume content primarily through broadcast or cable television. Yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about this independent boom when it comes to media. Approximately 47.5% watched via streaming platforms, including ad-supported video, on-demand, free ad-supported TV, and fast subscription services. Radio consumption followed a similar pattern. Approximately 62% of ad-supported daily listening time was split between live broadcast, digital streams, and on-demand audio. The distinction between linear and digital media is no longer operational. Media organizations and restructuring around cross-platform distribution, integrated advertising, and diversified audience engagement. Artificial intelligence, you all, has become a business necessity, whether you like it or not. It's not a novelty. AI now supports planning, trafficking, execution, and optimization across media operations more effectively, reducing manual workload and increasing efficiency. It's not going anywhere. So either you're going to do it or you're going to fall behind and not do it. Because my conscious take is this: AI is not replacing humans at all. It's actually reshaping where human value is applied, and we're actually going to be able to apply more because we're going to have the additional support and help that's necessary. The threat is not automation. When you automate things, you can get things done more efficiently, effectively, and you can do more. When you automate things, you can work your job and build your business. When you automate things, the possibilities are endless. The threat is refusing to evolve alongside it. That's where the threat is. My question to you is this: where could intelligent systems remove friction in your work? And what uniquely human contribution becomes more valuable as a result of it? How do we co-create with all that's happening in all sectors? I'm just speaking right now to certain industries, especially industries that are very predominant in Atlanta and in major cities. But what about everything else that's going on? Yes, continue to make global change. But the change also begins with what you are directly in command of, in your own atmosphere. When we come back, we're shifting the lens from systems to people, from platforms to trust. I'm diving into the creator economy and the trust shift. Why influence is moving away from institutions and toward individuals with credibility, consistency, and community. That's right. If you're a content creator, influencer, you work for one of those larger institutions, you have more of an independent business, you know someone who does, you're going to want to listen to this. And then after that, I'm going to speak to the retail reset and how consumers are no longer just buying products, they're buying alignment, transparency, and value. Stay with me. We'll be right back. This is the Zen Effect Show. If you're a brand, creator, or company, then this is your invitation. The Zen Effect Show isn't just a place to advertise. It's a place to align. We partner with brands, founders, and vision-led companies who want more than impressions. They want connection, credibility, and cultural relevance. In 2026, influence isn't about being loud. It's about being believed. Through integrated partnerships, creator-led collaborations, and story-driven features, your brand becomes part of the conversation. Our community is conscious, engaged, and global. Listening from over 80 plus countries across radio, major podcast platforms, YouTube, and live media. And that reach does not stop at audio. From in-studio placements and on-camera integrations to event hosting, pop-ups, panels, and experimental collaborations, the Zen Effect Show is a platform where brands show up with purpose and are remembered. And if you're hosting an event, launching a product, or building something meaningful, we don't just promote it, we spotlight it. Because today, people don't buy what you sell. They buy what you stand for. So whether you're looking to sponsor, collaborate, co-create, or be featured in a way that feels real, resonant, and human, this is where alignment meets amplification. Partner with the Zen Effect Show. Expand your reach, deepen your trust, and let your message live longer than the moment it's heard. Visit www.thezeneffectco.com for more information. The creator economy ad spend is growing at 4 times the rate of overall media market. We're also talking about shows like myself, other shows that are out there that you may watch on YouTube, listen to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, internet radio such as this. Nearly 2/3 of influencer marketing budgets were reallocated from traditional digital and paid media channels, you all. That's huge. Trust metrics, get this, reveal a fundamental shift. 34% of Americans report trusting independent or online journalists most. Only 12% express the highest trust in national news organizations. And over 15% of Gen Z now consume news primarily through influencers. Major political figures prioritized appearances over independent podcasts, over traditional network interviews during the 2024-2025 election cycle. Legacy media outlets have responded by hiring influencers directly while simultaneously downsizing traditional newsroom staff. Wow, you all. You've even seen it. There have been huge journalists and news anchors that were on huge media platforms that were let go of and created their own independent show, and they're doing very, very well. It's more flexible. You don't have those hours. I remember when I actually did some work in a news station, and those hours are something serious, depending on what time your show is and what have you. But those early mornings are nothing to play with, okay? And I would just love to have a deep conversation in that shift. You can see it within them. Like, you can see it within them, within their countenance. And you all, it's not a collapse of journalism. I believe those who are on major platforms, there's a little bit of fear there. It's not a collapse of journalism. It is a redistribution of trust away from institutions and towards individuals. People always value true human connection. The tides have shifted and the tides have changed because we're looking into what backs these platforms, who backs these platforms financially. They tend to lean towards one side or the other side. There's a lot of factors here. And that's really why it's shifting to this. People love storytelling. And there are major shows that do very well, like The View. It's the #1 talk show because, again, The View is genius and brilliant when it comes to this, because it is a large major platform. However, it's expressing you have different people with different perspectives, the different ways that they view things. It's diverse. Not everybody looks the same. They have different lifestyles, they have different backgrounds, different experiences, and they're sharing their view. So my question to you is this: who earns your trust, and what signals credibility to you in a decentralized media world? What is it that you love? The internet radio, the podcast, the shows, what you consume. What is it about them that you love, that you enjoy? You all. Another major shift that we are seeing is in the retail space. There seems to be a retail reset, and this is sourced by the Associated Press Retail Industry Analysis. Saks Global filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, resulting in the closure of most Saks off-Fifth locations and the wind down of its discount e-commerce platform while refocusing on core luxury brands. In 2025, the United States projected to experience approximately 15,000 retail store closures. That's what they predicted, 15,000. More than double the number recorded in 2024. Drivers include e-commerce representing 29% of core retail sales, the rising labor and real estate cost. People are really being very intentional with their money, you all. High debt burdens, consumer preference for convenience and experience, and value. Like I said, I made a little interjection there, but people are being very intentional of where they spend, as well as where they get their information, as we just spoke about with media outlets. Major retailers are transforming physical locations into fulfillment centers and experimental hubs. Some now fulfill 50 to 80% of online orders directly from stores. My conscious take is this: retail is not dying, you all. It is shedding excess, because there's a lot of it. There are conversations that I have had with individuals in the retail space, district management, account executives, account managers, managers of retail stores, like in-store online orders, people buying online, getting it shipped to their homes, Amazon. There's just been this fear that they feel their positions are dying with the massive layoffs in these industries, as well the store closures. And I just want to give a conscious take to it. We are learning in this very fast evolving economy and society that skills are very important. What you went to school for, what you got an education for, what you got a trade in, or what you may not have went to school for, and you're self-taught, and you've taken courses and gotten certifications, whatever the case may be. It's important. We know continued education in that field is important, but also adding additional skills are important. Because a shift will always come. And we're in the midst of a huge shift here in this current era that we are in. To every shift, there is an opportunity on the other side. That is an invitation. Not only how do we refine systems, how are you refining your system? And that brings me to the topic of today. It's a conversation that centers on the ownership shift. Freedom begins where avoidance ends. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. My question to you is this: when was the last time you felt secure at your place of employment? We were told to get the degree, get the job, stay loyal, and stability will follow. But the world has shifted. Layoffs happening in waves. Industries restructuring overnight. People beginning to receive. They're literally one email away from uncertainty. Multiple government shutdowns. Remember when those jobs used to be the safe jobs? I'm not even able to count how many government shutdowns we've had since 2020. That's affecting government workers. And at the same time, quietly, yet steadily, people are building wealth in places where we never thought to even take a look. For instance, like laundromats, car washes. I live in between 5 car washes. There's probably even more than that, to be honest. Storage units. And these businesses are bringing in high cash flow, you all. High cash flow. I saw something recently that stopped me in mid-scroll when I was on social media. A 38-year-old nurse quit her job and now runs a laundromat full-time. She brings in nearly $500,000 a year. And she says that she works maybe 5 or 6 hours a week. Let that land, you all. $500,000 a year. And she's working 5 or 6 hours a week in comparison to the 40 hours a week that most people work. Let that land. Now listen, this episode isn't about fantasy. This isn't about get rich quick. I'm not encouraging you to leave your place of employment at all. In fact, it's actually more supportive to keep your place of employment as you're building your business for financial stability, number one. And it gives you the breathing room to experiment, to grow, to make the mistakes, to triumph over the challenges, all the things. It allows you to test ideas, learn, and build that solid foundation. Yeah, you're going to be putting in a lot of hours, okay? But it's all going to be worth it. Remember to keep your eye, keep your heart, keep your spirit on the vision. Essentially, it creates a safety net while you scale your business towards the bigger vision that you have. You all, I'm speaking to this because I want us to have a shift in consciousness. And that shift is this: a shift from laboring inside systems to owning parts of them. So today we're talking about what I call the ownership shift. That's right. Not the American dream, but the self-sovereign era, where security is created, not granted. Let's ground into this reality of what's possible. Across business media such as CNBC, Forbes, Bloomberg, there's consistent reporting on this trend. Laundromats often generate strong cash flow with low staffing. That's a plus. Storage units also thrive in every economy growth or recession because people look, as you live life, as you're accumulating things, storage is necessary, especially the price point of what things cost this day and age. It's safe to save it in storage. I know when I got a new bed, I said, I'm going to save my other bed because my other bed cost a pretty penny. I'm not going to toss that away. Car washes. They benefit from repeat behavior and automation. There's a car wash by me that has memberships, which is super smart. For the membership, you can literally go get your car washed. It's an automatic car wash. And then they also have where you can actually, the vacuum, where you can vacuum clean your car is free. They have all-purpose cleaner, fragrance, the window cleaner, tons of microfiber tiles, everything necessary. And it really makes the experience so beautiful, because I ain't gonna lie, I'm not one, I don't really like cleaning my car. I didn't. Now with this experience, because it's so much ease, it's very therapeutic for me. And these businesses are seen as mundane. They're seen as predictable. They're seen as boring jobs to some people as well. However, that's exactly why the wealthy like them, because they're able to run without too much work and labor on their end. And here's the part that social media isn't speaking on. I want to speak to the truth of these because it sounds beautiful, but let's get to the reality as well. The startup cost can be high. Location matters. Location. It's very important. If you're not in a location where your business is able to be seen, that's going to affect the profit coming in. Because then people don't know about you. And let's be honest, most of these places, they're not putting a lot of money into marketing. It's due to drive-by and conveniency. The equipment maintenance is real with every single one of these. See, passive income doesn't mean effortless. It's all about the strategy. It's the strategy. So this isn't magic. Again, it's strategy. My question to you is this. What have you been taught to overlook? Because of what you were told success or income was supposed to look like. What is necessary for you to unlearn? And here's where it gets deeper, because this isn't just about money. It's about how we relate to time, energy, and our worth. Not what we're told what worth is. Our worth. Knowing thyself. When you know thyself, you know your worth. And you know the value of what you're creating. Why does job security feel so different right now, you all? Here's the truth that's not being spoken about too loudly, but we're going to speak about it here on the Zen Effect Show. Job security was always conditional. That's the truth. We're just seeing it clearly now. And if you've ever been laid off in life, I know I have, that doesn't mean you failed. That means the system is reorganizing. We are currently living in an era of automation, AI integration, and notice that I said the word integration. Because the truth about AI is just another big historical shift, like the introduction of computers in the mid 20th century. Clerical workers in the mid 20th century, when computers were coming out, right? And the boom of computers, they feared that computers would eliminate their administrative jobs. Another historical shift, the rise of the internet in the 1990s that every single one of us utilize. In fact, that majority of people work from now. People in media, retail, travel, they feared that this online shift would eliminate their jobs as well. And of course, the automobile, the blacksmiths, the stable workers, carriage makers, they fear job loss. So you all, this isn't new. The automobile, the rise of the internet, these were major historical shifts, a big era of change. Corporate consolidation, cost cutting as a default business strategy, the gig economy as the new employment norm, outsourcing and offshoring as profit, maximization of tools is what that supports, where short-term gains are prioritized over long-term well-being, which equals greed. data-driven decision-making, shaping human experience, increased surveillance in the workplace. You all, the truth is, working harder doesn't always equal earning more. Loyalty doesn't guarantee protection, and burnout is not a badge of honor. My conscious take is this: what if the discomfort you feel isn't fear, but it's your intuition noticing the shift? Have you ever wondered why you feel behind even when you're doing enough, even when you're working hard, even when we should be making progress, even when the deadlines are reasonable? We feel it. And sometimes the deadlines aren't reasonable. Let's just be real. We feel it. Like time itself is slipping faster than we are actually moving. Well, here's the neuroscience that explains it. And it's not about discipline or laziness. No, it's about how your brain constructs time. It's about how you perceive time. According to neuroscience reporting, including insights published by Fast Company and Raleigh, an accelerated brain doesn't actually measure time the way a clock does. Instead, it predicts time. It builds an internal story of how long things should take based on your memory, your emotional state, and your identity, not based on some objective stopwatch ticking away. Raleigh actually mentioned when your system is calm, regulated, grounded, your internal sense of time widens. You think more clearly. You make decisions well. Tasks feel coherent. You feel in command. But when you're stressed and worried about it's not enough time, where's the time, and you're just scrambling around, that causes a mental overload. Your brain actually speeds up time from the inside, and suddenly even simple tasks feel rushed. They feel squeezed and urgent. Raleigh also stated it's not the clock. It's not that the clock is moving faster. It's that your inner experience of time is shrinking when your nervous system is in survival mode. Let that land. So when you're stressed, when you feel anxious or carrying emotional tension, your mind becomes hyper-focused on what's next. And what is that related to? Hyper-independence is very much related to being hyper-focused, which is something that women of color, particularly Black women, are in the mindset of. And it's not necessary. That's why this term, the soft life, came to be. But it's not really a soft life. It's just you living life and not just existing. Because when you're just existing, you're in survival mode. Asking yourself, what did I forget? When is the next task? And your brain starts living in a prediction loop instead of the present state. That's why mindfulness and being in silence and breath work and meditation is so important. That's why two people with the same workload can feel totally different about their day. One feels calm, spacious, almost in the zone, and the other feels behind, frantic, like time is slipping through their fingers. And here's another layer that often gets missed. It's not just a task rattling your peace, it's your identity. Listen to me when I say this. If your internal story says, I should be further ahead by now, your brain interprets that gap as lateness. It feels like falling behind even when progress is real. Some thinkers will tell you that this research on how we experience time is still new. It's still emerging. We don't have all the answers yet. The exact neural mechanisms, how emotion, memory, and identity weave together to shape our sense of time are still being studied. And not every study agrees on whether we can train our brains to stretch or expand our internal clock consistently. But here's what we do know. What's grounded? Your experience of time. It's not just what's on your calendar. It's not just what's on your schedule. Stress, emotional load, they bend and stretch your inner timeline. The stories you tell yourself about where you should be, where you're supposed to be, what you've allowed people to cloak on you, saying who you are and you not knowing thyself, they shift how time feels and your nervous system. And it has a massive say in that story, in that narrative that you've created, in that false belief. So the real question is, how can we work with it and not against it? i.e., how do we co-create with it? My conscious take is this. Instead of asking, how do I get more done? Ask, how do I regulate my nervous system so time feels spacious instead of compressed, instead of having that pressure cooker feeling? Just pause with me on that. This is related to the concept of work smarter and not harder, you all. Let's recalibrate that phrase. Instead of work smarter and not harder, how about this? I just gotta navigate my flow. Gotta navigate. Let's talk about the phrase people throw around without depth. Invest in yourself. That doesn't just mean courses and educating yourself or businesses or side hustles. No, it means learning how money actually moves and also reframing your mindset around money. Understanding assets versus labor. Honoring your energy as currency because it is. Making decisions that serve your future self. Entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, but self-responsibility is. Whether you own a business, invest, create, or consult, the common thread is agency. Let's keep this honest. There's a debate around romanticizing passive income, overselling ease, ignoring systemic barriers, pretending everyone starts from the same place. And here's what's still unfolding. How AI reshapes entrepreneurship, how regulation is impacting small business ownership, whether social media hype outpaces reality. This isn't about leaving jobs. It's about reclaiming choice, about building lives where your time isn't consistently auctioned. Your nervous system isn't always on edge. Your worth isn't tied to productivity. This is the era of portfolio lives, multiple income streams, creative sovereignty, conscious ownership, not hustle culture, alignment culture. Truth is, security isn't something you find. It's something you actually build. My question to you is this: what would it look like to actually design your life, structure, and not just survive one? Take what resonated with you today and carry it into your week. And let it activate something real within you. I'm your host, Zen Howard, and this is the Zen Effect Show. Always remember to let your effects speak before words do. Keep your soul hydrated and your spirit fortified. And until next Tuesday, stay elevated.